What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a special client interview today with Val. Val's been in the program here for a few months. Really excited to dive into her story. A little bit of a different type of interview that we do with our clients. But won't steal your thunder, Val. Why don't you go ahead, take it away, introduce yourself, and we can go from there.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I am originally from the Orlando, Florida area. My name is Val. Played softball my whole life. Moved to St. Pete in 2018. Played college softball at the JUCO level for a few years. And I've always just been a junkie about the game of softball, baseball. Knew that I wanted to pursue it as a career, but I kind of just did what was expected and got my degree, started working, and ended up in the management higher level space, which was fine to begin with. But I always had that inkling of just wanting to get back into coaching, and that's always where my passion has lied. So the last couple years, I've been iterating on the idea of starting my own coaching business in a sense. I was giving lessons at a facility for 2 years, part time while I was working. So just a lot of hours and not a ton of progress in what I actually wanted to do, which was impact, young women on a deeper level. It was very transactional, it wasn't very consistent. So I was just always left wanting more. Um, had watched your content for a while before deciding to book a call. And so when I got on the call, it wasn't really as much of a sales call as like, okay, like what does this entail now? And we mentioned this today, like I didn't know the details of school or, communication with you or Matt or anybody. But I already felt like I trusted you because of just all of the evidence of it, right? I think when someone has success in multiple different, areas, it's not just baseball, it's not just softball. You help all kinds of coaches. So I think seeing again the evidence and how it worked for other people, I just assumed why wouldn't it work for me? Um, and so if you would have told me a couple years ago that like I got into social media, I would have just been like, no way. I've always been super quiet and the way that I was raised was to be really like palatable and polite and nice and again like do what's expected. And so to me, joining the program was a bit of a leap, but as soon as I got in, I felt very like at home and welcomed by like-minded people. And I will always gas you up in the sense that if I didn't join the program, a lot of things in my life would be different right now. I know that for a fact. Just put my 2 weeks in at my corporate job last week, which was just really weighing me down, a weight on my ankles. I have found good traction with the social media so far, but now that I'm not going to have to, have that mental strain or desperation, I guess, going on of like, how do I get out of this? I feel super excited to just, yeah, be all in on being a content creator, coach, whatever the title is, but just a ton of opportunities that in joining I didn't think would happen at all. Gotten to meet you guys in person. I joined in February and I was flying out to Arizona in March. So again, just a lot of trust that was built prior to knowing you personally. And then that was kind of like the icing on the cake was like, yeah, I really do believe in what you sell, what you promote, and it's better than what I thought is what I'll say. And I'm like a
Yeah.
huge skeptic of things, I probably mentioned this in the sales call, like I'm not easily convinced or swayed by things. I had seen information on other programs and Leslie mentioned this in the call today of like, other coaches and whatever, but there's nothing quite like this space where it's just all coaches, all like-minded people. Um, there's not a lot of translation that has to be done. We kind of just like get each other and all have, similar issues, similar successes. So all in all, it really is a community feel. And, I've felt super less lonely and very much supported throughout the whole process of this. I know my circumstances are a bit different than everyone else's, but I live somewhere where I don't really have a ton of friends. Like I don't really do much besides work. So having again this community has been awesome. I feel like I've made friends for a long time and it's set me up for awesome things. So
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Well, let's start from the beginning because obviously there's there's a lot that we can touch on today.
hmm
Let's start from the very beginning. You said you were like obviously skeptical of like online and like you never thought you would be a social media person.
hmm
What made you want to like pay some random dude on the internet to join this like program?
yeah, I think I watched a ton of your YouTube. So, I was following on Instagram, but the YouTube really did sell me per se, in the sense that a lot of the information was very tactical. It made sense to me. It was almost like obvious, like you say all the time, like free sauce. And it really is. Um, yeah, useful in that sense, but it was like, okay, if I'm learning X, Y, and Z from this YouTube video, then why am I still not seeing any traction on the social media side? Like I was just so terrified to post because I didn't know what that meant. Like, are there certain things that I have to do? I was just overthinking it way too much. Um, and so to answer your question, I feel like, yeah, the YouTube really solidified, I guess, any kind of doubts that I had because they were answered on those videos, whether it was the literal like content strategies or videos about the funnel resonated a lot with me. The idea of casting a net, the fish analogy, like things like that just again like made sense and they weren't super complicated. It just was um, presented to me in a way that I hadn't thought of before. Like my background is in business, so this is the sales and marketing game, which was something that I wouldn't have never probably seen myself doing. Um, but when it's again presented by someone who has experience and can speak to it in a very simple but elaborate sense, it makes you have confidence in what you're being told. um Again, I always go back to like evidence and what are the facts, and like I can't argue with the fact that you've helped hundreds of coaches, so why would I question that or try to, I guess, talk myself out of why it wouldn't work for me. It just would be silly. So I think again, I spent a lot of time on the YouTube and that did the convincing for me.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a lot of people would just spend their time sitting there talking themselves out of why it wouldn't work for them. For you, why do you feel like you didn't talk yourself out of it like that?
I think the overall timing maybe played a part in it because I was going through other changes in my life to where I felt, okay, like this is kind of in the theme of let me take a leap and like F it, bro. Like I'm in my 20s, like I don't
Yeah.
have debt, I have dogs, like I don't really have a lot of other things that some of these people have. Families, already established businesses. I feel like I'm very free in the sense of even if I were to do something and fail at it, like what's going to happen? Like it's not really the end of the world. So I think the timing of it all probably played a factor in it. I moved out of my apartment. I just got a new job. So it was like, changes. And I'm a person of habit. I really like knowing what I'm going to get out of my day to day, or I like my routines, etc. But that phase in my life at the beginning of the year was a lot of movement, a lot of change. So I figured, it was a good a time as any while other things were changing to kind of, lean into that theme of just like going for things and seeing what happens. And then really meeting you guys in March, I think also um, kind of catapulted me. Like once I got home, just the idea of, again, if other people can do it, and I say this jokingly, but like if boys can do it, why can't I do it? Is like something I was telling myself. Like once we went to that mastermind, Dylan talked, Eric, like all these guys are killing it. Why couldn't I? Like that's something that I always kind of like tell myself jokingly, but um at the end of the day, we're all really kind of the same people in a sense. We do have different backgrounds, etc. But um, seeing that again, people from different spaces, etc., had success, that that was really solidifying for me.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Okay. So you jump into the program, you're like whatever happens, happens. I don't really have a whole lot to lose. You
Mhm.
mentioned how the program was more than you expected. What did you expect coming into the program?
I think I expected curriculum in some sense, right? Like I had never used school formally, so this is my first experience using school personally myself. So I did expect some sort of, yeah, curriculum or something to refer to when it comes to social media, etc. But I don't think I expected the thoroughness. Like it's very, and you mentioned this sometimes in the modules, like this is dense, and it is. Like I've been in the program since February, we're in July. I probably haven't gone through everything already, just because um I would use it not in a chronological way, just when I needed certain things. So I started chronologically and then I would bounce around. And so I think the thoroughness was what I was not expecting. Um, because we can ask questions in the community, ask questions on group calls, but more often than not, they're already in the modules. So I appreciated that. Besides that, what else? I guess the community aspect as a whole, I didn't expect to feel like I, know strangers as well as I feel like I do. Like I get on these group calls Monday through Friday pretty consistently. And so you do that over the course of a couple months, like it becomes part of your day to day. And like I look forward to seeing people that got into the program when I did and like how they're progressing and things like that. So that as well, I don't think I expected either. I knew that there was a mention of group or community engagement, but I didn't expect for me to be looking forward or so committed to getting on group calls because that's kind of where a lot of um the sauce is at, or really valuable insight from people who are in different stages, etc. So in short, the thoroughness of the curriculum for sure, and the overall just like community aspect. And maybe that's just me, I guess, leaning into it because some people don't, right? Like they don't take advantage of that part of the community and like they fall off and you don't hear from them anymore. But again, and like I probably sound like a broken record, I really do credit multiple people in the program for the past couple months, just like being very supportive of me and again looking forward to seeing on group calls and um not feeling a sense of loneliness at all. Just, very yeah, community-esque.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Okay. So you didn't really necessarily expect the program to have everything that it did. Walk me through, well, maybe the first few months were like, especially working a 9 to 5 job, because there's a lot of people that come into the program or even that like watch my stuff that, use that as a reason to not do online coaching or join our program or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think at first I thought I would get through the coursework like in a couple nights, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna go through all the school, I'm gonna do all the worksheets, like I'm gonna be done with
Yeah.
this. Like, what's next?
Yeah.
Um, and in school, I was like that, like I just wanted to, okay, give me the exact what I need to do, I'll do it, and that'll be it. It's not cut and dry in that sense. Like I mentioned before, it's not necessarily chronological. So I think initially that was my mindset was like, I'm just gonna run through all this, I'm gonna learn everything, I'm gonna apply it, and that's gonna be it. Like I'm gonna and I'm gonna like win at this game. Like this is gonna be easy.
Yeah.
But it's not like that at all. I think I was putting a timeline on something that can't be predicted or manipulated, like everyone's business kind of unravels at different paces. So when I started to, I guess, gain more traction, more momentum was when I didn't put as much pressure on having to know everything and just progressing forward and whatever that looked like for me. It was posting straight away, like I didn't have any content at all. So, okay, how do I post consistently? It's mid-July. I haven't missed a day since March. So just like being super consistent about posting, which was something that's in my control. Like you mentioned, the 9 to 5, of course, it's been difficult, but if I can't get one post up a day, like how can I be responsible for multiple athletes and all these other things that are way, require much more of me than carving out half an hour, maybe a day to post a video? Like I just had to stop with the excuses and at the end of the day determine like how important is it for me to have freedom? It's everything. Like it's extremely important. So I think for anyone who is, yeah, using that as an excuse, maybe you don't want it enough. Maybe you're still clinging on to the safety of having a 9 to 5 and, whatever, all the things that come with that. I think I just got to a point where I was fed up with accepting that and working to live instead of living to, like just enjoy my life. So again, I think it depends on kind of where your priorities lie. I've had a lot of late nights, early mornings, but I don't regret it at all because it's gotten me to this point. I did not think that 6 months in I would have been able to quit my job. Like 100% did not anticipate that. I was telling you probably like less than 2 months ago, if I can quit by the end of the year, like I'll be super happy. And then, things just worked out because I feel like I've been very intentional about what I want. I don't know how, right? Like that's the thing too, is you want to know how and you want to know every step. It's just not realistic. So, um, I've always kind of been consistent about what it is that I want, the how I've let it up to whatever happens, but controlling my inputs, being really consistent about what I can be consistent about, um, asking questions, staying curious. Uh, yeah, I guess that kind of answers it in the tangent.
Yeah, for sure. I think you said something interesting there that really resonated with me was that a lot of people want to know every step
Mhm.
on how they're going to get their ideal outcome. Talk to me about how you've been able to quit your job and how that unraveled, because I guarantee you weren't sitting there like planning that out. Like I guarantee you did not plan that out.
No, no, not at all. Like I just mentioned, I really was set on by the end of the year, if I can quit, I'll be so happy. I need to save X, Y, and Z amount of money, and then this is gonna happen, and that's gonna happen, and then I can quit. But I think when again you're really rigid and set these conditions on how to do things, you just talk yourself out of them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like for me, it just comes back to the priority of how desperate am I to live my own life and not feel so consumed by work. And I really was and still am like very much consumed by my responsibilities. I just turned 26. I
Happy
was in a
birthday.
very thank you. Was in a very upper level management position and just like absolutely bogged down by things that are just not worth it to me. So really, yeah, it just comes down to my specific needs and intention, which is to get out of the rat race. And it really is that. When I started this new job, I think I said this to you, I got like a, I don't know, $20,000 raise. And I was so stoked about that. Like, holy shit, like I'm rich. Like, I'm not gonna have to, like this is gonna be awesome. I'm just gonna work my job and go home. But no amount of money, like even if I was making more money, 30,000 more, like it's just not worth what my day to day and week to week life is. I live by the beach. I can rarely go outside. My days are just in an office. They're in a cubicle. There are people coming to me complaining. It's just not what I want. So, I don't know, what did you even ask me at the beginning of this?
Yeah, how did quitting your job come about? Because obviously it's like
Yeah.
this is probably like the least traditional
Mm-hmm.
like interview I've ever done with one of our clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so yeah, so to be more concrete about quitting my job, we're in mid-July, probably around mid-May, early June. I'm being like very boisterous about hating my job, basically. And like I try to have a good attitude about it, like have perspective. People don't have jobs, whatever. But again, it's like it's my life. I needed to take control and like just be selfish and ask myself like what I wanted. Um, and so in the community, people knew this about me. I'm looking to quit my job, etc. Matt connected me with Coach Ashley Carter, who I had met in March at the conference, and straight away, like she kind of has an aura about her, like she owns her light and her purpose, and I love that about her. Um, and so when talking to her, I felt almost like a little like a celebrity moment because like I had seen her on social media. I know her history with coaching at Washington and like
Yeah.
everything she's about. So a little bit of like a starstruck situation. And I think again, like being in the group has led me to believe that I deserve to be around people like Ashley. I think that I maybe convinced myself otherwise of, maybe I'm just meant to like give lessons on the side or like, kind of just do this as a hobby. And that's what people would tell me too, right? Like, oh, that corporate job is so cool. Like, are you still like doing the softball? Like very like, like casual. Like, no, bro, like that's what I want to do, It's not something
Yeah,
like
I know
cutesy that I
exactly what you
do.
mean. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, oh, but like, are you still doing the softball stuff? But the
Yep.
HR, are you gonna climb the corporate ladder? Like, no, I hope to God I don't, bro.
Yeah.
Um, so in talking with Ashley and meeting her, I really did like in that moment feel like something maybe down the line, I'm gonna work with Ashley or work with Nick or work with somebody here because I again just feel so aligned mentally. We all have different backgrounds but similar values. And I felt like I connected with Ashley almost in like an older sister type of way. I still kind of feel like that, but so anyways, her business has been growing. She's up to about 50 athletes right now, and um was telling Matt that she needs some help in offloading her workload. She works like a dog. Like she'll text me early mornings, late nights. Like she does not take time off. And so she's been handling all of her fulfillment, sales calls, social media, everything herself. And so yeah, it kind of just the timeline worked out perfect to where she probably delayed getting help longer than she should have and needed someone who understood the online space, could give her some more structure and probably standardization of processes and things like that, get her organized. And so just again, perfect kind of timeline of events, perfect fit. Um, I kind of needed her, I guess, okay for me to quit my job so that I knew, that it was something concrete.
Yeah.
She gave me a little bit of like I guess like a trial period of, 2 weeks or so. We were kind of working together and having conversations and whatnot. And I'd call her, like, all right, so like, am I hired yet? Or what's, can we make this official? so that I could kind of officially get excited. But yeah, it's been, yeah, a great fit. I see her vision, she sees mine. Um, we keep the athletes at the forefront at the end of the day, and it's super, full circle for me to be in the recruiting space, especially because I went JUCO, and if I would have known way more than what I knew when I was 14, 15, like I would have done much more with my career. I would have been much more satisfied with how things played out for me. And so to be able to, change the trajectory, like literally, of girls' lives, like that's the goal, bro. Like we got on a call. I'm starting to take calls now with her one-on-one, like 2028s, 2029s. And I was on a call the other day. This girl's kind of like catching me up on her recruiting journey. I got X, Y, and Z school talking to me. I went to a camp, whatever. And I could tell she was like holding back her excitement, because as athletes, I think we try to water ourselves down, and like when things are going well, it's like what's gonna happen when the shoe drops? How
Yeah.
am I gonna go from there? And so I could tell she was like excited about essentially her dream school wanting her, but she didn't want to let herself get excited. And I kind of got like a little emotional in that moment because I could see myself in her. Where like you're doing all the right things, you're practicing consistently, you're busting your ass, you're having late nights and sacrificing a lot of your, teenagehood to play a college sport, something that's not guaranteed. Um, but she just needed a little bit of like, hey, it's okay to like be happy. It's like this is good. Like this is not something you're making up. Your hard work is actually turning into something concrete, and like you should be proud of yourself. Obviously, there's still work to be done. You still have to sign whatever, but this is exactly what it should feel like. Like you should enjoy your recruiting process. It shouldn't be something that you're losing sleep over, or you're comparing yourself to your friends over, or you have all these notions of like, yeah, what if not? Like this is good. This is something that you should be trusting in. And um I think when you're again at that age, there's so many, opinions and your parents, friends, whatever, that having someone who is an outside source who doesn't really know you tell you like, hey, like you're doing a good job. Like I've been there, like you're in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Um, that for me at that age would have been everything. It would have been the little kind of just spark that I needed to trust in my abilities and just go for shit. Like I was so scared all the time to fail and to come up short, to not meet expectations. But at the end of the day, all of those things are like perceptions, things that we come up with in our head. And girls especially just need a little reminder often that, again, you're doing the right thing and things work out eventually. We don't have to know how it's going to happen. Just focus on how you show up every day, your intention, etc. And eventually, things work out, which is what I didn't believe in at all when I was that age.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's amazing that you're able to, help like a younger version of yourself overcome
Hmm.
maybe some of the challenges that, really made you struggle.
Hmm. For sure.
So I guess flashing forward then to, you quit your job, you're in a good position, you're still building your own brand. Like in terms of the program, the community and things like that, like who would you say that the program is for versus like maybe if they're watching this, like the program's not for them?
I'd say the program is for people who really have like the reins on their own life, because if you just have an attitude of, hey, I have all the ingredients right in front of me, I just need to figure it out as I go, then you're gonna make something out of whatever your trajectory looks like. Um, you're not gonna be spoon fed. No one's gonna be telling you exactly what to do. There's obviously great mentors and feedback, et cetera, that you can take. But if you're not convicted in what the possibilities can be, then you're just going to, give yourself reasons as to why it won't work. I think I had the complete opposite outlook as to why wouldn't it work for me, or I'm gonna make it work. And so I think that mindset shift is huge because again, I could have told myself, and there's been other people in the program that have gone in and they fall off because they go on vacation or something comes up, someone, and then they just fall off on the wayside. But I've cared about this enough that I've prioritized it and I've put it at the forefront of my everyday so that it's the non-negotiable, because I care about it that much. And again, I care about my freedom and my quality of life that much. So I say it's for people who are, um, yeah, convicted in that you can kind of do whatever you want as long as you have people around you that are better than you, that support you and kind of know how to get you to where you want to go and have similar mindsets. Like, you know, mindset is everything for sure. For who it's not, yeah, people who make excuses, limiting mindsets or beliefs around social media, especially. Like, I've gotten 500,000 views in the last 30 days on Instagram. Like, that's insane. I have less than 3,000 followers. So, yeah, again, I would have never imagined me like putting myself out there in that capacity. And this has really been not minimal effort, but I haven't been able to give it my full attention, right? So, like, what does that look like when I can actually mentally, physically, spiritually, like, just give this my whole attention? Um, so yeah,
Yeah. No, I appreciate you fending off the people that we don't want in the community.
there you go.
What would you say working with our team is like? Because obviously, like I'm the face, right? And
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't understand that like there's a whole operation that goes into what we're doing over here.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, first, Matt Ross, such a nice guy, like very down to earth. And frankly, I didn't know anything about him until I got on that first call with him. And then I started realizing, like, oh, like he has a background in social media, he's already been in the space. And so I guess learning the way that he thinks, the way that he approaches marketing and Instagram and how it works, like, is super interesting to me. He's definitely taught me so much that I would have never probably even considered. Um, his approachability and kind of, people will ask silly questions and stuff on calls, but he's very, just even keel and kind and patient. So I think that, especially when you're first starting out and it can be a bit intimidating, that goes a long way. Like, Matt's ability to kind of meet everyone where they're at, I think, is a good way to put it. Um, I really like the addition of Courtney because obviously she's a female and that perspective is important. I think someone like you're really like cut and dry, right? Like, to the point. And sometimes, girls think differently and need a different kind of, again, perspective or way of navigating things. So Courtney's not like soft in any sense. She will still tell you how it is, but um just has a different approach, different perspective, and again, a ton of experience of not only having success but failing, quote unquote, like being banned on Instagram and having to pivot and find ways for it to work for her regardless. Like, she has again, it's all about mindset, like a great attitude of she's going to
Yeah.
make it work however.
Yeah, she's
So those,
dope.
yeah, she's awesome. Those things are contagious, bro. Like, when the people around you, walk the talk and do what they're telling you to do, you can't help but respect them and take what they say seriously and with a lot of weight and value. So I think I've probably used and abused them a ton and appreciate again their patience and looking back, kind of the things that I was worried about in the beginning were so like silly and trivial because I
Like
was
what?
just like overthinking it. I don't know, bro. Like, I think at first when I wasn't even posting content and I would ask you like what should I be, and you're like, dude, just start posting something. Like you don't have anything on your Instagram. Why are you
Yeah.
asking me like what kind of content you should post when you have nothing to go off of? I was like, true. Like I should probably just put something out there. And like in the first video I posted is like 3,000 views. I was like, oh shit, I just have to post a video of me like saying something that I care about, and that's enough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah. So in general, I was just overthinking everything way too much. Um, and yeah, I think social media, the influencer side of things is to me, I guess, like kind of no, it is like cringy, people that um act a certain way online or are posting things for reasons that aren't, it's just like for clout chasing and things like that. Like I made it very clear straight away that that's not what I wanted to do. But I didn't think that my kind of organic way of posting would stick as well as it has been. I think people really resonate with the fact that I literally just prop my phone up, say a couple things for a minute or so, throw on captions, and then post it. Like it's really not that deep. But
Respect.
what I say, yeah, like you, like the talking heads. But
Yeah.
what I say has weight, and like I think people can tell my conviction and my passion behind what I really believe in because I've just like iterated on it so much. We talked about writing today. I've written about it so much. I've watched so much at Anderson Miller, Micah Franklin, and all these people that you've worked with. Like it's not coincidental, that it's kind of the same difference, right? Like everyone
Yeah.
has their own way of delivering the message, etc. But really the people that have had a lot of success in the program, it's a very organic approach. It's not super flashy, or you're not asking for us to spend 3 hours editing a video. It's just, like how consistently can you show up, how genuine can you be, like true to your message and your yeah, whatever you're convicted in, how can you show that in a way that your audience can relate to and digest easily. um which also for me, like that's kind of how I've been looking at my content the last couple months. When I watch it back, like how easily can I watch and take in what I'm putting out there? Because really that's kind of like the name of the game is the ease of how the viewer can take things in. Not trying to be someone that I'm not, just speaking to a younger version of myself, which we talk about all the time. Um, Not being afraid to kind of like, yeah, plant my flag in the sand and say what I mean. That middle ground is kind of where, and on the videos where there's middle ground, it's like, it does all right. But when you really are on one side or the other, that's when things kind of like start to pick up some traction. Um, so yeah.
When you say plant your flag on one side, I mean, I obviously know what that means, but for like somebody out there who has no idea what you're talking about.
hmm Um, I would say just like having firm opinions that aren't blanketed or like super nice like to everyone, right? I think of the saying, to be everywhere is to be nowhere, like if you are trying to appease the masses, like you might be likable, but are people really going to like back you and almost have like a cult like feeling towards you? Probably not, because you're kind of just you blend in with everybody else, right? There's nothing that sets you apart. Like there's hundreds of thousands of hitting coaches online. There's hundreds of thousands of softball or women trying to teach hitting online, but I want to be distinguishable in comparison to them, not because I'm thinking about it, but because I'm just being myself, and no one can be me. No one can, um, no one's had my experience, my story, my background. My uniqueness is what sets me apart.
Yeah.
Um, And so I think for people who try to be palatable, which I was trying to be at one point, I still am, like, transparently. It's not easy or, yeah, the comfortable route, but it is what attracts the right people into your ecosystem, people that are like willing to go to bat for you when you're a total stranger, like people in my comments will like defend me and stuff. It's like I don't even know who they are, but they have the same, again, like strong opinions that I have. And the middle ground is like, again, like okay, but where you find like ride or die kind of people that will follow you and support you is when you are um firm in what you believe in, and it just, yeah, it attracts the same people into your space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that. I took a bunch of notes of like pieces of content that I want to make off of
Sweet.
that. But yeah, I guess I really don't have any other questions for you. So like while we got the camera rolling, like, is
Hmm.
there anything that you would want to say?
I mean, I honestly, like, I don't want to get emotional because we keep this pretty professional, but I um I really did not expect to, I guess, go through the emotional change that I have. Sorry.
You're good.
Um and we've kind of like gone into my background a bit, but I feel like, again, I'm in my mid 20s, but I've had to eat shit for for a long time. Um, whether it's in my personal life or, when I got to college and things just did not um pan out the way that I thought they would. Um, being here in a city where I'm again by myself and kind of trying to quite literally figure things out by myself. Um, I feel like my identity has been very uh loose and like dictated by other people and like what I think I should be doing. And I've never really had like a firm kind of like compass, right? To where, okay, this is what I want to do, this is who I want to be. I I think up until like this year really suppress what that looked like for me because I just wanted to like fit in and um do what I was told and um be on the path that I thought was for me. But I think I really needed to be around people who, in hindsight, I think the word is fearless, like a lot of these things are not concrete, like the sense of assuredness or, like this is exactly how it's gonna, you're not gonna get that. And that's what I've always kind of clung on to, is like I need to know what's gonna happen or else I'm not gonna do it. Like I can't walk into the unknown because I'm just like terrified. And that really was just a lack of, my self-confidence, my again, sense of identity. I just didn't have any, um and I didn't realize like it was so low until, I'm starting to again like confront these things and like really figure out what it is that I want out of my life. And ultimately, like I said, I feel like I don't want to say suffered, but been through so much over the last like 10 years that I've gotten to a point where I'm just like fed up, and um am proud of myself for doing things that, again, I didn't know that they were going to work out, but I had no choice but to make it work. And like I've told you before, I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself, like not even close. Because I did try to do it by myself. I like I said, I watched the YouTube, I did the things, and nothing. yeah, what I was kind of like racking my brain over for so long, like I wasn't seeing anything happen, and it was so frustrating. Um, because anyone that knows me knows that like this, sports is my life. Like there's nothing that I have done as consistently. There's nothing that I've poured more time or energy into. Like it's everything to me. Um, and so, you know, when you kind of try to talk yourself out of that, of yeah, maybe I should just get a job and be like a normal person, like that shit sucks, bro. Like having to um negotiate with yourself and think that this is going to be my life, like I'm just going to be miserable and go to a job and do it all over again year to year and eventually retire. Like the thought of that was terrifying to me, and I saw my family kind of like break apart because of that. And I thought that that's kind of again what was inevitable and what I had to do. But in being here, and I didn't think it was going to happen within 6 months, I have a whole different um outlook, and like I'm so excited. I feel so like fortunate for again the timing of everything. Like it's not coincidental that I met Ashley in March and that, things have kind of transpired the way they have. I'm not even like super concerned about my own business right now. Like I just want to go where I'm needed and serve whoever needs to be served. Because at the end of the day, like that's really been kind of what I've always thought of, right? Like I grew up in a like a Catholic spiritual religious space, and service is always at the forefront. It's like how can I actually live that, not just like talk about it, but like actually mean what I say and do that. Obviously making a living is important, but I wasn't serving anybody, with these fucking jobs, and it's like surface level interactions. It was just so, yeah, just not fulfilling me. I kind of just went on a tangent, but like seriously, thank you so much. Uh, like you said, I think my experience is different than other people's. Um, and it's hard because you guys obviously didn't know me years ago, but I was a completely different person, like um and it's funny when you start like changing and doing things for yourself, how people will come back into your life like, hey, like it's been a couple of years. Oh, well, now you wanna, now you wanna hit me up and come to St. Pete. And um it's just funny, bro. I feel like I have much more of like a chokehold on my life. Like I can do whatever I want. And before, I felt like I was just again doing what was expected, and um it felt like helpless, to be honest. But again, this has kind of really opened my eyes to what's possible in the online space. And I'm just excited for the trajectory of things, because I know that I will never work a job for another person again. I'm never going to make anybody else rich. Like it's going to be me and what I care about, and people are going to know me. They're not going to know some company that I work for, and like that, yeah, that sense of kind of, individuality and being different, which is what I was scared of, is actually what I really like enjoy the most of myself right now, is the fact that I can do things and be okay with being judged. And like, I went to the office today. People are being like weird with me, dry with me because I put in my 2 weeks. Like, I'm not gonna see you guys ever again, bro. Like, I don't care. And like that sense of, again, I don't care and I'm just gonna do what I want. I was never moving like that. And to move like that, it gives you so much freedom, bro. And like people that know me and that are close to me have seen that from me, of how the job has taken like the literal light out of my eyes. And then now that I feel like it's slowly, it's, it's almost over, things are changing, that shows too. So just feeling, we talk about alignment all the time. It's total alignment. And again, would not have been able to do it by myself whatsoever.
Well, thank you very much for sharing and being vulnerable and saying the truth and not just, hey, Nick, thanks. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, I do. I truly, I mean it for sure. And I've talked to my partner this entire time about like what I'm doing, and she's super supportive, whatever. And at first, with you, just like watching the videos and whatnot, there's a certain perception of you, right? Like you're kind of just a guy that talks about his business, and you come off, like very to the point and whatever, like I mentioned. But the relationship I feel like I know you, I feel like I can trust you, and that to me doesn't come easy. But you know that's kind of how all of these relationships have come about, to where um let you in a little bit, and okay, the trust is there, and there's no reason for me to not have it anymore. Like I feel like anyone in the community that I've built a relationship with is going to be a lasting one, and that's important to me. I don't mess around with my time or my energy or whoever's in my circle, but I do feel like this is, yeah, the best use of having my circle and everything.
So, well, I want to say thank you, Val, for your trust and for
Mm,
fully buying in and for still coming to the group calls and asking questions.
mm.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. No problem.
Well, amazing. Um, Val, we can wrap up here. I guess just so people know that you're actually real, where can people find you?
Stack softball. No A in the ball. Someone took my at Stack softball on Instagram. And yeah, that's about it.
Amazing. Well, Val, thank you for jumping on. If you're a coach watching this right now and you're not in our program yet, what are you doing?
I
Anyway,
hope you have the most FOMO ever.
facts. I hope you get
when that
FOMO from
when
watching
that
every single piece of content that I put out there talking about how our clients are successful and how our
yes.
events are mad fun. I hope you have
Yes,
hella FOMO.
when that new event mixtape drops, you're gonna be experiencing the most FOMO.
Well, amazing. Val, thank you so much for jumping on.
Of course.
All right, we'll catch you in the next one.